Sawadee krap. Hi everybody. We have finally come to the most exciting part of my entire vlog. The reason why I began vlogging in the first place. And that was to document my journey in the Kingdom of Thailand. However, every story has its origins. And today, I'm going to be taking you back in time 2 years ago when I first arrived in the Kingdom of Thailand and what ensued prior to my arrival to Thailand. The reason that I came to Thailand was to study my Bachelor's Degree in Communication Arts, digital media communication, and pursue a career in media broadcasting, particularly radio broadcasting, which is something I've had a passion for since I was a kid. But every journey has its first step. So after applying at Assumption University, which Thais refer to it as the acronym ABAC, A-B-A-C, I applied for admission, I got accepted, and I got a package in the mail with my acceptance letter and the letter for my visa. I had to go to the Thai consulate in Los Angeles and apply for my visa. The staff at the consulate were super friendly. They helped me with every step of the way. All they asked me for was my documents and told me to come back at 3 p.m. to pick up my passport. So I wait on hours on end. After waiting, I finally go back to the consulate. They call my name. I received my passport. I was so happy because I got approved for my visa. My journey to the Kingdom of Thailand was about to begin. My travel began on the 18th of July, 2018. Prior to the day before my travel, I went to a currency exchange and I exchanged US dollars for Chinese renminbi. The night before I was to fly out to Thailand, I'm just laying down in bed, realizing that the biggest journey of my life is about to begin. Wake up the next morning very early, 6:30 a.m. I'm in the car and I'm driving to San Francisco Oakland International Airport, also known as SFO. And as I'm driving, I'm just realizing that, wow, I'm about to go on a journey that's going to take me to the unknown. I get to the airport, I check into my flight. It was good. It was smooth sailing. I go and I have pickup sticks for, you could say, breakfast/lunch. As I finish eating, I see the gates to enter security screening. I say goodbye to my family. I go through security. I give them my passport, my boarding pass. I go through security. After that, I'm walking to my gate. I'm staring out the window, realizing that I'm not going to be seeing home for quite a long time. Around 11 a.m., it's finally time for my flight to start boarding. Getting in line, I get on the plane. I finally find my seat, and I'm sitting at an aisle seat, which you can see here. The thoughts are just racing through my head. I flew with China Southern Airlines. I end up sitting in my seat. The cabin crew announced that we're about to take off, and they show the safety video. Now, because it's China Southern, they show the safety video twice. So they show it first time in Mandarin Chinese, and then they show it in English. We start to take off. To see out the window, I see San Francisco Bay, and I start seeing town of Pacifica in the Pacific Ocean. And I realize, well, my journey is actually starting. I'm watching videos and listening to music on the onboard entertainment system. It's about a 13-hour flight. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to kill time for the next 12 to 13 hours? Watch movies. I was watching Star Wars The Force Awakens. Surprisingly, I watched it like twice. And then I started to listen to more music again. I ended up discovering a Chinese band called Lion. I started listening to them, and I can speak a little bit of Mandarin Chinese, 我会说一点中文, which means I can speak a little Chinese. We're flying and we're over Alaska, and I see the international date line, and we're really close to that. And once you go past that, on the other side of the world, it means that you're a day ahead. I thought, wow, I'm no longer in the Western Hemisphere, and I'm now in the Eastern Hemisphere. I'm flying somewhere near Russia. It was so cool to realize that I'm now really out of North America and I'm away from home. Thoughts just start racing through my head. We fly over Japan, and I take this picture of the map on the onboard entertainment system, and I see that we are flying over North Korea. So now I'm like scared shitless. And I think to myself, oh shit, what if we get shot down? What if something happens? No, we were just fine. Ended up flying over Jeju Island, South Korea, because we were heading to Wuhan, China. And about 4 hours later, we touched down in Wuhan, China. And I'm looking out the window, and I see high-rise buildings, and I see homes, and I realize, oh shit, I'm finally in China. China has been a country that I've always wanted to see. I've always had a fascination with China since I was a kid. Now I was really in China. We touched down in Wuhan Tianhe International Airport, and I get a notification on my phone. So my phone service that I use back home is called T-Mobile. I get a text message saying, welcome to China. Your T-Mobile plan gives you unlimited data at 2G speeds. calls it 20 cents a minute and free text. So it was really cool to see that, and it was really cool to see that I was finally in China. So I go through Chinese immigration. They tell me that I need to take my fingerprints, and I spoke to the immigration officer in Mandarin Chinese, and he gives me directions in Mandarin Chinese. He looked really shocked at the fact that I could speak Mandarin. I get my entry stamp into China, and they give me what's called a temporary entry permit, which is a visa-free transit, so I can enter China and stay the night because I had an 18-hour layover. However, I do have to give you a disclaimer that a temporary entry permit is only for the city that you are in. You cannot leave the city. So at any time Chinese police ask you for your identification, they see that you have a temporary entry permit and it's only for that city, you can get in big trouble. So I go to my hotel called the New Beacon International Hotel. I check in, and this was actually a really nice hotel. This was recommended to me because the hotel that I had previously booked, I guess, was not in a very safe area of Wuhan. I stay here, and this is in the airport complex, which is great. So I can literally walk to the terminal from my hotel. I check in, it was about $115 for one night at the New Beacon Hotel, and it was definitely worth it. I walked through the hallway, and it was very simple. It was very modern. And I go into my hotel room. I'm starting to freak out a little bit because I have no power in my room. So I call a friend of mine up in China, and they tell me, they gave you 2 cards, right? And I said, yeah, why is that? And they tell me, because there's a slot right by your door, and you have to put one of the keys in there. That activates electricity in the room. And I said, oh, okay. So I did it. All of a sudden I had power. And the room was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. It was very spacious. Again, very modern. I absolutely loved it. You see there's a balcony. The balcony had a couple of seats and a small table, which I'm assuming it was just a tea room. After checking out the room, I go and get something to eat inside the airport. And what is the first thing I get while I'm in China? KFC. I don't know why, but I was craving KFC. So I get KFC. I eat it in my room, and then I walk around the airport for a little while just because I was feeling restless. I decide that it's finally time for me to go to sleep because I have a 4.5-hour flight tomorrow, Bangkok. I go to sleep and I wake up at 3 in the morning. I just broke down and I cried because it finally hit me how far I was away from my family. This was my first journey truly being away from my family. I called them up and told them that I had missed them so much, and they told me that they missed me too and that they were hoping that I was okay. Then I got a message from my family saying that everything was going to be okay. They know that I can do it, not give up. And after reading that message, I fell back asleep and woke up about 4 hours later. I wake up, I grab my breakfast from the front desk, which was just a small bag of a bunch of little random goodies. Like they had a boiled egg, some fruit, orange juice box of orange juice. That was pretty much it. So after that, get ready for the day, get my trolley that had 3 suitcases, and I check out. 谢谢, 再见, thank you, goodbye to the front desk staff. They were super friendly. I go to the airport and I'm walking through the airport, and I call one of my friends in San Francisco, let him know that I made it to Wuhan safely and that I was getting ready to fly to Thailand. I check into my flight, go to immigration, and I get my exit stamp. Then I go through security. This is where the journey was a little scary. They ran my carry-on suitcase 4 times through the x-ray machine. Police officer says to me in Mandarin, 你有刀吗? Do you have a knife? I tell her in Mandarin, I said, 没有刀, I don't have a knife. She takes out this little Swiss Army knife. She says, 你刀, which means your knife. I'm thinking in my head, oh shit. Immediately I have my phone out and I'm ready to call the American consulate in Wuhan. So then I ask her in Mandarin, 你会说英文吗? Which means, can you speak English? And then I tell her in Mandarin, 我的中文是不好, which means my Chinese is not that good. And he tells me 不会, which means I don't understand. She takes the little Swiss Army knife and says 再见, 再见, which means goodbye, goodbye, and waves me off, which I was relieved. I remember I had a Swiss Army knife with me, and I forgot to take it out of my bag. Moral of the story is, next time you travel far, check all your bags. Make sure that you don't have anything you're not supposed to have. After that, I board the plane, and I get on my flight to Thailand. This time, luckily, I wasn't sitting near anyone, and, I had an aisle seat, but I asked the flight attendant, if it was okay if I could switch seats. She said it was fine. So I switched and I sat at the window. And I'm looking at the window and I look at the map on the onboard entertainment system, and I start seeing that we're flying over Laos. Then I start seeing that we're flying somewhere over Thailand. And I knew that we were flying over Thailand because I saw that we were seeing cars driving on the left, and then I start seeing what looked like Thai temples. And I see these, and I'm like, wow, this is really real. You're here. You're actually in Thailand. I touched down at Suvarnabhumi Airport, which, by the way, it's not Suvarnabhumi, it's Suvarnabhumi. And so I step in Suvarnabhumi. Again, my phone sends me a text message saying, welcome to Thailand. It felt great. I'm walking through the international arrivals hall, and I see this sign, transfer to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Phuket, Krabi, Samui, and Yay. After a very long walk, I come to immigration, which, by the way, if you are coming into Thailand, they're going to give you 2 cards, an arrivals card and a departure card. The arrivals card, it's just your name, your date of birth, your nationality, flight, and then why you've come to Thailand. And look at the immigration, and I say "Sawadee krap" to the immigration officer, and I give him why, which why is a gesture that is respect in Thailand. He says "Sawadee krap" back to me. And all he asked me was, "What are you doing here?" And I told him that I was studying at ABAC, and then he told me, "Welcome to Thailand." And after that, it was time to go home. I started driving home. One thing that really caught my eye when I was looking in the car was that there was no heater on the dial for the temperature of the car. It's all blue, so it's only air conditioning, which when you come to Thailand, is very hot and humid. No purpose for heater. I'll go home, driving on motorway 7. It was absolutely beautiful. Saw this Malaysian mosque, and then there was this billboard that stated that Buddha is not for decoration. This building right here is a hotel that is being constructed in Bangkok. This was my first sunset in Thailand. It was dinner time. I think that I would have Thai food my first day in the Kingdom of Thailand. No, I had sushi instead because I had Thai food 2 days prior to my arrival in Thailand. And I had lots of salmon maki. And after that, I went home and I slept. So stay tuned next week as I bring you my journey into ABAC. Sawadee krap.